what they eat, how they obtain their food, and also some of their rituals, beliefs, and traditions. I believe learning about other cultures is important to our lives, and it can give us a new and different perspective of other people. And it also will give us a perspective about our own culture. I would like to credit the source of my information to Dr. Bruce Knopf, book written in 2013, The Jabusi Lives Transformed in the Rainforest World. The Jabusi live in the central rainforest of Papua New Guinea, and the rainforest is very dense and grown over with trees and plants. It's hot, humid, and rainy, and receives about 5 inches of rain a day at some times of the year. This causes the ground to be unstable and mudslides, making it very difficult to establish any sort of infrastructures. The temperature and the humidity in New Guinea are usually the same, 96 degrees and 96% humidity. The Jabusi are semi-sedentary. They are not nomadic because they build solid structures like houses, huts, and huge ceremonial houses. To build these, they use stones and metal axes and construct them with wood, vines, and palm leaves for the roofs. The process they use for the wood is actually a very cool strategy. To fell the trees, they cut all the trees in the plot halfway through, and then at the end, the last tree, they strap to all the other trees, chop it all the way down, and when it falls, it takes the other trees down with it, kind of like the domino effect. And the reason they're not totally sedentary, I don't know why I can't say that, is because they move their village sporadically. They can stay in one place for weeks or months or even years. When they move, they rebuild and reestablish their houses, huts, and village. The population in 1982 was about 450, and it's currently at 640, maybe more people. They have no outside contact or amenities. The closest airfield was closed in the 1990s. They have no roads, airstrips, or trails leading to their village. On official maps and atlases, the area is uncharted. It shows up as a blank spot on the map, just a big blank square. And the only way you can get into their territory is by foot or by canoe. The nearest airstrip is 25 to 50 miles away, and the nearest city is 100 miles away. The Australian parole officers used to visit the area, but no longer do so and haven't done so since the 90s. And currently they have no medical services, schools, markets, or stations. They did have these services and institutions in the 90s for a short period when the airstrip, the Nomad Station, was open. As far as what they eat in their dietary, their main staple is starchy plantains and sago. The plantains they cook on fire until the skins are black, and then they peel them and just eat them. And the sago is a flour made from the palm leaves, and this is processed by the women. They go into the forest, find the palm leaves, and stay in the forest and ground them into like a flour paste. Once it's ground into the flour paste, they wrap it in the palm leaves, load it on their backs in huge nets that are strapped to their heads, and bring it back to the village for cooking. The Jabusi are considered horticulturists by anthropologists and also hunter-gatherers. They gather plantains, breadfruit, coconuts, peanuts, bird eggs, bamboo shoots, chestnuts, roots, and other vegetations. They do grow gardens, but they do not plow, irrigate, weed, or harvest the crops like farmers. They protect the new plantings and seedlings with leaves, brush, and the felled trees. The Jibusi men hunt small game, lizards, bush birds, pigs, boars, prawns, large spiders, and they also spear fish. Usually they hunt with bow and arrows, but sometimes will use spears, axes, rocks, and sticks. When hunting the wild pigs, they semi-domesticate them first, and the way they do this is when they're piglets, they will carry around the little piglets and feed them and play with them so that the piglets get used to people. And then when the piglets grow large or grow up, they will set them free in the forest. And then at a later date, when they need the pigs for a feast or, you know, for a ceremony, they will lead the pigs back to the village with like a trail of food. And once the pigs are near the village, they will pen them up for slaughter. The Jibusi men do not hunt large game and do not go on extended hunting trips. They only hunt near and around the village. As far as the rituals and beliefs and traditions of the Jibusi, up until the end of the 1980s, they practiced sorcery. They would have spirit mediums or shaman that would hold ceremonies and rituals, and they believed that anybody that died, whether it was by accident, suicide, sickness, illness, they believed that it was caused by a sorcerer. So the spirit medium would hold a seance, and if the spirits told the medium that somebody was guilty, they would hold a sorcery inquest ritual. And the sorcery inquest ritual usually would end up in the execution of the person blamed. On rare occasions, the suspect or person blamed could perform a divination ritual to avoid the execution, but that had to be perfect and had to go exactly as it was supposed to. And the other belief that they had was concerning with sorcery. If somebody was leaning over a corpse or mourning near them, and the corpse would lose fluid or release air like gas, they would automatically blame that person that was near the corpse at the time, believing that the spirits were revealing the person that killed them. They did, as I said, they stopped all sorcery practices in the 1990s, and that was probably due to the outside influences they had, like churches, medical knowledge, schools, and just global awareness. The homicide rate after they stopped the sorcery dropped to 0. As far as their traditions for marriage, they have a male initiation ceremony. Males between the ages of 16 and 20 years old go through this ceremony, and the Jibusi start to prepare for the ceremony months in advance. And the ceremonies include large feasts, dancing, body paint, and very intricate costumes. The ceremony will last all night, and the men have to go without talking, eating, or sleeping, sometimes for days. They do not have prearranged marriage. They allow for marriages of love, or, you know, because they want to marry an individual, but oftentimes they do marry for convenience. When they do marry, they usually marry somebody outside of their family or clan, and they have a tradition called the sister exchange, and the sister exchange was where the woman, her family, she would go to live with the husband, so her family would lose a female. So the sister of the husband would go and live with the wife's family or marry the wife's brother. And they would consider this a balancing of the females. And as far as their beliefs for death and birth, there was known cannibalism with the Jibusi up until 1980, and none thereafter. When they practiced sorcery, they would not bury any corpses for days and sometimes even weeks, and this would be very smelly and cause contamination and spread of diseases. After the 1990s, when they had an influx of churches and missions, they did do Christian-like burials, which is what they do today. Only the females care for and mourn the death of the children. It is not appropriate for the males to care for the children, raise the children, or even grieve if the children dies. The Jibusi also believe that infants do not have a soul until they are 6 months old, and will wait until then to name them. The Jibusi are a unique and very interesting culture. Learning about them has given me a totally different perspective of our culture in America and different insights on the ways other people live. If you would like to learn more about the Jibusi, I would suggest reading Dr. Knopf's book, as I mentioned at the beginning of my speech. It's called The Jibusi: Lives Transformed in a Rainforest World. And once again, I would like to thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about the Jibusi. And don't forget your evaluations. I would like to know how I did. And if you have any questions or anything, you can come see me after. Thank you.